those pies. I was like,
So good.
I thought you've been making these the whole
And you
time.
knew you were gonna have to get a recipe.
You're
Now
right,
you, now
you're
at least you
right.
can carry on the tradition
No
with
problem
no
with that.
pressure.
Yeah.
Oh, we're live.
Like she would probably watch
She
this.
might, your mom might tell us.
You might
Yeah.
get more text messages tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, she probably won't
Yes,
share
I
her
do.
with
Babysit my dogs.
Did I tell you that you won't be running
I
around?
know, I know,
Grandpa
I know
would
how
be
to
like, yeah, just
motorcycle,
bring
but I
my
got a
grandma
buddy in
watching.
Alicia that does, a son's guy that does.
Okay.
Dave Woods out of, Rush Center.
I got one, I'll sell you.
No,
I should have brought my jacket.
I've learned my lesson on motorcycles.
I have one, Shelby, you want it?
I might buy one.
I've got 7 o'clock on my computer, so let's call the meeting to order. And is there anything that needs to be added to the agenda besides the 2 items listed? I'd go for a motion to approve adopt the agenda.
So move.
Second.
Move second, all those in favor. Hearing patrons.
I'm actually going to start this, even though I know I don't know if I guess I'm a patron too, but anyway, I want to introduce Mr. Younger as a presentation, hearing a patron, whatever. I'll introduce you what the reason for this presentation. I want to have him, and I don't know if Mr. Coach Beckman's coming with you or not.
I just texted him, so.
Okay.
He has
Hopefully he
a lot
can-
of the-
come with you too, but here during the last, just kind of give you a rundown to the last month of the school year here, month of the track season. Question about what is the accurate girls long jump record has come to question. And I want to turn it over to these gentlemen to visit with you guys about it as a board. And why I'm going to bring it to you as a board is as obviously the elected officials. And I know they're probably a little bit frustrated with me because I maybe appear to be dragging my feet with them on as many questions as I've probably been asking them as they've been bringing information to me. But they make a very compelling case. And the reason I want them to bring it is I want to make this a public discussion. It's not an agenda item, but as a hearing board, as the Board of Education, to listen to their story, their compelling, and then I'll finalize it and bring it back up to date on where I'm at, and then what I'll ask of you as a board. So again, this is a way of making it, I guess, a public discussion, and just not a discussion that's occurred in my office between 2 coaches and myself as a principal. And not just me bringing it to you as in my principal's report, but I want them to do it as a presentation. So Coach Younger, Coach Beckman, I'll turn it over to you guys on to dispute with what is posted as the long jump record that's been on the board in the hallway, in the south hallway. Okay, go ahead.
So this all came up after regionals. Monica jumped 17-1 and a quarter. Her mother texted me, asked what the school record was. I said I'd have to check the board. Athletic.net had it listed at 17 feet, a half inch. So we went, checked the board, 17-1 and a half is what the board says. So.
And where this kind of came about too was, we had no reason to even look. We were kind of curious, just, man, I wonder where this was jumped at. And then the longer we dug, then he got some stuff. So
We got super curious, like 1 in the morning, sitting up there thinking, where did she jump this? So we went, he had, was it Mock gave you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Coach Mock had given him all the results from 05-06 track season. Well, school year, which would be the 06 track season. So we went and looked. The only thing we could find was a 17-1 at Hodgman County. So we went through the results. The one we didn't have in the book was regional results. We found that Kendra Fawnsteel, Brody was a senior the same year. They had kept the state book, so I got a copy of that in here as well. The state result was online, and then we went through, we couldn't find quite what we wanted right off the bat, so we went through the yearbook, and I found it interesting. In the yearbook, she happened to win the athletic, the female athlete of the year, and they had it listed as 17-1 for her school record jump in the yearbook. So we brought it to Tom. Tom said we need to do some more research. We need to get a hold of Carol Swinson.
And I got a hold of him. I think you guys probably did
Yep.
too. Well, I know I did, but yeah, go ahead.
I emailed Carol, and then I gave him a call and said, just give me a call back. He's the guy who put together the all-state list for the state. He keeps like all the state kind of record book stuff. If anybody's got results, he's got them. He called me back the next night, said he couldn't find anything we don't have. He said, go check the local newspaper. So I went down, checked the local newspaper. I have a copy attached to our results and every result that was printed in the paper that year outside of state and regionals that match up perfectly. We can't find the 17-1.5. I'm more than happy to let you guys look through all of this. The other concern was the first meet that we had listed was on 4/13, which was our Nest City Invitational. If you guys want to look through it, go for it. Right back here is the Female Athlete of the Year Award, which is 17-1, clearly printed in your book. So I went and I tried to find the activity calendar because 4/13 is an awful late date. As it turns out, there were no track meets listed in March that year on the activity calendar. And the first meet was supposed to be the week before, and it was our Nest City meet, and I think weather had it moved, which is why it's not on 4/7, it's on 4/13. But every result that we have that we could find with every person, including the paper, including Carol Swinson, our records show 17-1 is the record. I asked Vicki Schuler. She said, I don't know where she jumped it, but the board says that she jumped further than Monica. She couldn't give me the distance. She couldn't give me the place. She just said, that's what the board says. I don't know. If the board is wrong, which is what it appears to me, and that is my, and I believe Younger's opinion, Coach Young, that the board is wrong. I realize it's been up there for 18 years and people think that's the record, but if the board is wrong and that's not the record.
First of all, you're not allowed to say the board is wrong in this room.
Yeah. If the record, you guys are always right.
The record board that sets above the policy.
Like to move, yes.
If the school record board, not school board, school record board is wrong. That needs to be, in my opinion, fixed regardless of what it's gonna look like.
Where we think maybe there was a discrepancy, as I think you mentioned earlier, that state track season, she had jumped 17.5, like a half inch.
Yeah.
So we honestly think that it was an honest mistake. Mr. Flax sees me after state putting records up, and like I truly think that could be an honest mistake where, you know, she jumped 17, but you got that a half inch in your mind and you just, and then no one.
Yeah, no.
So I truly think that's where that extra half inch, and I think it was an honest mistake. I've had, over the years, we've had no one that's even touched, so we've had really no reason to even look into it until we finally had a 17-foot jumper. We were, the only reason we were just curious where she did that, and then the longer we dug through that season, it was like, wait, I think 17-1 is actually the only furthest of these. So
yeah,
that's,
we couldn't find anything. Carol Swinson couldn't find anything. There's nothing in the newspaper. There's nothing anywhere that shows 17 feet 1.5 inch. It's all 17-1.
And how far is the jump?
17 feet 1 1/4 inch.
We're talking a quarter of an inch.
Yep.
Over 18 years. And so this is the reason why I've asked them to bring a presentation in front of the board instead of just being a discussion in front of me in my office. And I know Coach Beckman and I have had that discussion and then we've had, texting back and forth. Here's what, I haven't even told them what my plan is, and I know they've been frustrated with me about dragging their feet. I say, me dragging my feet on this. This is something that the board has been posted for 18 years. There are compelling, I actually called Carol Swinson. I know Carol Swinson from a long time. If you go to any state track meet, he's the guy that sits on the podium in the middle of the track. They have a scaffolding set up, and his thing for as long as I've been in this business is he keeps every track season the best marks of every class, girls and boys, for every event all through. And I thought, if there's anybody in this state of Kansas that might have something that they didn't have in their notebook, and they brought me the notebook of all of the results of the 2005-06 school year that they mentioned that Coach Mock had left them. And again, the marks that Carol has, 17 feet 1 inch at the Jetmore meet at that time. And then 17 feet 1/2 inch. That's what she jumped at state. She jumped 16:10. The Schuler girl, Megan, I want to make sure I got the right Schuler girl, right? Megan Schuler. In 2006, she went 16:10. I did a little bit of research on this myself. They make a pretty compelling argument. I like the idea of Jerry at the news office. I didn't realize he had the archives of all the past newspapers, so that was good, because that was my worry, is was there a missing track meet results in there? The reason I wanted this to come public with a public presentation, and it's been, I will say this in my opinion, probably incorrectly. I do believe what happened is she went 17 feet 1 inch at the Jetmore meet, which would have been on a Tuesday in May, the first Tuesday in May. And they probably changed the board 17 feet 1 inch. And then at state, she goes 17 feet 1/2 inch. And I don't know if they thought if it was 1.5 inch, and that's when the 1/2 inch goes up on the board, potentially is what I wonder could have happened. That's when I could see that potentially happening. But it's been wrong on the board for 18 years. It can be wrong on the board for 18 years in a month, because you're the board that will hear the complaints from the public. Since now this has went public, I figure it would be a month. If there's any, let's just say from the Schuler family, or any coaches from that coaching staff back then that has any way of, oh wait, here it is, here's the record, it was set at this meet. They'll have a full, we got a month to come back before. And I say that because you'll hear that. And then I'll ask you in July, is it, because in my mind at this point, if it's my decision as the building principal, I think the record was incorrectly published. The yearbook, again, I go back and look at the yearbook. It does say 17 feet 1 inch. There's no half or anything like that. 17 feet 1 inch. I did not check with Jerry with the paper. That's a good resource. I could check with them. I did not check with them. I understand after pounding out they did. That's kind of my plan of action. I wanted to come to the front of the board though, because again, you'll be the elected officials that will hear complaints from public if unless you find something else, or you've already found something else that I need to know about. But nothing to their contrary has been brought to my attention, but I figure I want to make it public, ample time for anything contrary to come to me or to you. Discussion in July, and then at that time, I think Monica Jordan's name should rightfully go up on the board for the record hold, because I was there. I witnessed it, 17 feet 1 1/4 inch at Tribune at the regional meet. So, but that's the reason for the presentation.
Okay.
So,
I did also call Val, who was the jumps coach back then, and Val could not remember 17-1.5.
oh, Mrs. Keppel was on the
Yes,
stuff,
yes,
okay,
sorry.
yep, yep, Mrs. Keppel, she was a grounds coach back then, okay.
Did she remember what her record was?
The
Megan
17
Yes, she
Rowe?
did.
17 feet even.
Okay, thank you.
Cause it was Megan that beat Mrs. Keppel's record when she
Yep.
was in high school, wow.
06 was
Miss
her
Kraft
first
at that
year,
time.
but you weren't head track.
No, I was golf.
You were golf? Oh, man, I'm embarrassed.
So that is the reason for the presentation that I made them. Drag them up here to make them go through it. Again, I wanted to, I wasn't sure what the best way was to publicize our discussion, other than to have our discussion in a public forum. And obviously, if you decide you want to make it an agenda item in July, obviously, you're more than welcome to do that, but I don't think you need to unless something to the contrary occurs by then.
Well, you checked about everything other than talking to Megan,
Yep,
so.
I did talk to her mother though. I don't know how to get in contact with her. So I did ask Vicky, couldn't give me a distance, could not give me a place, just all she said was, that's what the board says. The record board.
Very good. Anything else before we move on? You look at the consensus items, please.
I'm gonna head to basketball practice. I'll see you guys. Have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Second,
We have a motion and second to approve the consensus items. All those in favor? Special ed, Shelby,
Nothing new to report.
government relations, Tom,
no report.
thank you, Mr. Flax.
Okay, I give I guess a little bit of just a recap, in your board, packet. I don't know what to call it anymore. The documents that Susie puts on the board packet there. There's a little bit more of that display, that electronic display I talked to you about in place of the composite photos there. They, of course, gave me, came back with a little bit better deal of the touchscreen. Now it's about $1,200. So a lot cheaper than what it was on that first one. The software package is still the same. One of the things that I thought is pretty good, if you go to that 6.21 Word document, Mr. Reinhardt, that one right there, they sent me a link to another school. If you click on that Hermitage, I wanted to decide, and so this is a school roughly the same size as Nest City in Missouri that uses this display, this touch display. They have that there, and you can kind of get an idea of what it could entail. This is, I mean, this is a live one. You know, what makes it nice, again, anybody, anywhere in the world would be able to access that board, you know, instead of having to be in the South Hall flipping through the panels as it is right now. They could see the graduates of that, plus everything else, you know, just because it's fresh in my mind. A track record board. We could have the 1977 record from Val Craft of 17 feet under her name, and then it goes 17 feet, 2006, 17, whatever, you know what I'm saying? That information could be added to that. I mean, there's so much that it could do. Obviously, somebody's got to input data and stuff like that. The question that was asked last month, if we do not re-up with the agreement, that data is ours. It is ours. We would have it.
So we
Behind
don't lose
that,
it.
it is ours forever. I mean, so no matter whatever gets loaded on it, whether we load it, whether the Rocket display company loads it, you know, with the scans or everything like that, it is ours. Behind that touch display, I just drew this up and then they drew it up. This is kind of my thought of where it may go. That Eagle's Nest, we have that ugly old register, heating register that's no longer working because we don't have boiler heat there anymore. So have Jack and the guys take it out. They can build a new stand. Obviously, it would be setting right there underneath the plaque of the school when everything, the school was built and everything like that, and it would all be right there. Again, they made that demo site for us. Just a little bit of update. I'm still looking though, because this is a permanent decision. I know the salesman here has been, hey, this price, I can only give it to you till the end of the month, or this and that. I'm like, whatever we decide, it's got to be permanent. Whether we decide to spend $1,000, and I think you're the one that actually found that, and thankfully, I mean, on your Google search, a new rack with 20 panels, 40 more years of composites, $1,000 right there. Like I say, this touch display, $1,300 right now. Now, they're going to get us in that yearly fee, but I just, you know, the software pricing, as you see right there. I mean, I know that's where they would get us, but he's really, and I mean, I say the salesman, I know he's pushy and I've been putting him off and everything like that. I know he really wants our business. hopefully he'll continue to work better pricing with us, because nobody in western Kansas has this. And they know as soon as we have ball games and people start coming to our ball games, and they look up some of this 1937 and they pull that up, or with valedictorians and the salutatorians of all the history of Ness City High School, or other things that we can put on there, all the golf winner award winners, all the Horsham Award winner. I'm thinking of all these different, bits of data of our history, all the yearbooks that can go on there, that can be scanned in there. I like this. I really am looking at the direction. Yes, this is the direction I'm looking to go. I do want to more research it more before we go with something like that. But I just wanted to pass that along. It's all in your information. Please look at it, play with it. If you find more information or more, I really haven't found a true competitor for them though. They seem to own the market right now. There doesn't seem to be anybody that really is, I can't imagine that, but there's anybody that does that. At least that I've found anyway in my searching on that. I didn't load or give you or send the results. So I guess I'll just kind of tell you, we do have the state assessment results actually came in. Now, I may have actually said that. I don't know. No, we haven't had a board meeting since then. I didn't bring it up to you, but they basically came in like that last day of school. I did go ahead and mail out the junior high and the high school parent reports with the report cards there when they have them. I think this is something that needs out there. I'm looking at our ELA. My building had some kids hit level 4 this year, which we didn't have last year. We really worked on trying to get a lot of kids out of level 1, get them up to level 2. But we succeeded also in getting some level 3s up to level 4. We've had a couple, I think 3 7th graders, 1 or 2 sophomores that made it to that level 4. So that's I think some good news. I'll try to make it nice, better printed report for you to upload into your stuff for July. Math, I think we made a lot of improvements on math, of moving our kids out of level 1 to level 2. We still have more room to go in math, but I feel really good. Just for example, grade 7, 23% of 7th graders in the state of Kansas are in level 1, or at least only 20% of our 7th graders. We're right there with grade 8. Our grade 10, 45% of 10th graders in the state of Kansas scored in level 1 in math. 35% of ours did. So thought those looked good. And then our juniors really knocked the science assessment. They really did it well there. Only 8% of our kids in science were level 1. Now, 8th graders didn't do so hot in science, so we got work to do with them. Hopefully over the next 3 years, when they become juniors, we'll see improvement on them on that. But a little bit of state assessment results, and I think everything else that I have is going to be personnel that we'll talk about, or other agenda items that are on the agenda that I really have, unless you have something for me, questions that you want me to.
Are there any questions? Mr. Reinhardt.
We survived Bike Across Kansas. If you happen to come by or come in, you realize that there was a lot of people up here this weekend. And it wasn't just bikers. I think the parking lot was full with vehicles before bikers even showed up, with their support staff and people following them and vehicles and everything. They were a great group to work with. It was a lot of work. I will give Patrick and Colin and the cross-country team props for the work and effort that they put into that. I think they were well rewarded with the funds that they made through that process. But it was definitely an event Sunday if you were around. I will be out of the office June 22nd through July 5th. The 22nd through the 26th will be at the Model Schools Conference. I did get Candace, Brooke, and Jason to go with me. So we'll be going to Orlando and learning. And then I will be taking my family vacation the week after that. So definitely available, but I won't be in town those 2 weeks. So keep that in mind. Turned in an application for the Safe and Secure Grants money provided through the state and the legislature and KSDE. It is a $1-to-1 dollar match. That's one of those grants we apply for every year. I typically turn in $60,000 to $70,000, and we get $5,000 or $6,000. This year, they put some different things in there, but I applied for cameras, mostly focused on the playground, and then some spots that we don't have good coverage on. I put in for an SRO for the last couple of years. Thought would be if we could split that between this grant and the sheriff's department to get the sheriff's department more help, but that SRO would be more focused on attendance and giving us somebody that we can rely on to work with kids and parents on attendance and maybe do a little bit better job. If we had someone in the building on couple days a week, they could actually get something done with truancy. Communications to finish up the intercom system that we put in the elementary school. One thing that they added to the grant is AEDs. We have discussed in the past putting one out at the football field and then having one that could travel in the activity buses. So I added those. In all, I applied for $63,000. Again, that's a 1-to-1 grant. Our side would be 31.5. I would expect we'll get $5,000 to $6,000, and if that happens, we'll plow that to cameras probably.
Was that the part of the 387 bill where they were gonna add that safety and secure funding, or is that maybe an additional?
It was in there, and I think the governor line item vetoed that money had to be spent specifically with that camera company that put up cameras that could identify guns as you walk through the door. It was a no bid. Someone had a tie to this company, I think, and was trying to get them money. So she line itemed that, so it left that money. I think they added a little bit of money in there. So hopefully we might get a little bit more, but I would expect, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 out of that grant. The elementary carnival brought in good funds again this year. They've got about $7,200, $7,300 in that account. What teachers would like to do with that is upgrade technology in their classrooms, specifically the Promethean boards being outdated. I would guess they were probably 5 or 6 years old when I got here, which means they're well out of date. I think Candace's is probably the only one that works well, and she's probably the only one that uses it because of that. What they're wanting to do is go to flat screen TVs, which we've been the last couple of years replacing projectors with flat screen TVs. It's cheaper for us, and I think they have found out they like that process better. One thing that doesn't work with that is you can't write on a flat screen TV. A lot of the curriculum resources, both Solace and iReady, have programs within them. If they had a iPad to attach to that process, they could write on the iPad, it would show up on the screen. So what their thought is, flat screen TVs and iPads for the elementary school right now. To do that for every classroom we're currently using, it's about $9,745. I would like to leave around $1,500 in the carnival fund, so they've got funds to do next year's, some startup funds. That leaves about $4,000 short to complete the project all in 1 year. My question for you is, do you want to support that and pay for that difference, or do you want me to buy what we can this year and then next year we look at doing the rest.
My thought is that we go ahead and get it done, because that was one of the teachers' concerns at our subcommittee meeting, was and they explained all it to us and how. the
I think
systems
it was
aren't working.
their fundamental thing too. They brought it up when they were here presenting too
Mhm.
about that.
We're okay with that. I will get everything ordered and get the guys getting TVs installed and everything set up. Okay, I will do that. Not a problem. One of the other things we're looking at, we're moving back at the elementary school to incorporate our walk to intervention or MTSS time to better focus on our kids that are struggling for a period of time every day, looking at resources for that and looking at what they're doing with at-risk funds as we move forward. They're making it harder and harder for us to utilize at-risk funds. Right now, and for probably ever, we've simply used those funds and paid a portion of teacher salaries. We were able to rationalize that because of kids that were considered at risk in their classroom, paying those teachers more. It's getting harder and harder through state regulation to justify that. So we're having to do a little bit more work to do that. One thing we're looking at is some materials that are produced by the 95% group, specifically focused on reading and reading intervention. They are a approved group through the state. It is on their list of programs that can be used for at-risk funds. As we get closer to the end of the month, depending on where we're at with at-risk funds, to purchase everything that the elementary teachers have talked about for that program, it's about $14,000. That might be something that we end up doing with our at-risk funds to purchase that. And what that allows us to do is the minutes of the day that that program is used by staff can be applied to at-risk funds for their salary. We've got a couple other, like Lexi and a couple other programs we use. iReady is part of that. So when we use some pieces of iReady, we can apply that time to the teacher salary. This would give us a little bit more of a buffer, plus give some resources for that walk to intervention. And again, it's kind of one of those. It's a chunk of money. The research we've done, the conversations we've had with them, and what we've looked at, we really like as a resource. It's a resource we can hand a para, go do this with the kids, and it's pretty spelled out. This is the process you go through with the kids. Like I said, it is a approved resource through the state of Kansas as far as something that has a high incidence of working and closing gaps on kids that are struggling. But that is something that if at the end of the month we are struggling with expending all of our at-risk funds like we need to, that might be something we pick up, which will allow us to continue to better expend those funds next year. And then the last thing, I know that a couple of you, several of you have probably been hit up about the end zones on the football field. Jack and I've talked about a couple different options, and I know we've talked before. I really want to get some feelings from you. We originally several years ago had started the project of going ahead and extending our sprinkler system out and planting fescue in those areas. And then that summer that we were starting that project, we spent $20-some thousand in 1 month on water. And at that point in time, we can't afford to do that. And if we're watering more, that just makes it worse. And so Jack and I have talked possibility of, we could go back in with buffalo grass, plant buffalo grass, whether we sow it in, we hydroseed it or something along those lines to try to get something planted and growing. We can go in and possibly rock it. He's kind of got an idea to go in and rock it. My concerns with that, you put rock down, rock ends up on the track, it ends up in the football field and those type of things. I think it would look really nice. My concern is anything we do is going to have a cost to it. And when we're looking at capital projects, we've got a lot of things we need to spend capital money on. I have no problem fixing up the end zones. My question to you is that what you want to spend capital money on right now? Or do we want to make sure that HVAC works and the track that needs that second coat of rubber and the ceiling layer on it, that we're probably within a year or two needing to do before we run into major problems? Where do you want that money spent? Are we gonna worry about the condition of the end zones on the football field? Or do we want to make sure funds are available for other projects?
You sprayed the end zones?
Yeah, they've been sprayed with weeds. Matt's been really good about, with baseball and soccer and some of the things he's helping with his kids. He's been out there, not just on the football field, but on the baseball field and the playground. So he's doing a lot better job this year of seeing things and getting things spot sprayed and those type of things. But he has sprayed the end zone. He's fertilized and sprayed the field itself. I think there's a little bit of buffalo grass starting to grow out there. It's going to take a long time for it to fill in itself. I don't know what it would cost to have someone come in and hydro seed it, which would give us a better result faster. Technically, I think you don't want to just throw buffalo seed on the ground like you do with fescue. I think you're better off sowing it or hydro seeding it. But I imagine you could very easily with buffalo grass seed spend a couple $1,000s doing that, if not more. I know we've talked in the past, and I know Patrick would very much like us to put railroad ties up to mark out the shot put area a little bit better. And I agree, it would look really nice if we did that. It's just whether or not if that's what we want to spend our money on. If it wasn't a money issue, it'd be done already. It'd be something we've been working on. I'm just really concerned with capital outlay dollars and the projects we have that need to be done. That if we don't move forward with some sort of bond issue and get things going, we find ourselves in somewhat of a problem.
Well, I think you answered yourself there. Been done already, if we could.
I say we just do the best to keep the stickers and weeds out of it. I mean, when I was out there at our last track meet, there are patches of buffalo grass and spread, but there weren't a lot of weeds. So we could just keep the weeds sprayed and keep the buffalo grass that's there in decent shape. I mean, to me, it was a lot better than a year or two ago when it was full of overhead stickers.
I think if we keep Matt on top of it, I think Jack's doing a great job of keeping an eye on things. And then will notify me or Matt if Matt doesn't see it himself. I think you're right. If we stay on top of it, it won't get as bad as it was. And that might give us a little more time before we start spending money. What I'd really like to do is pave it, rubberize it, both ends, make it look really nice, and then we never have to worry about it again. But that's a lot of money.
Is it worth at least getting a bid on just having it sowed the buffalo grass?
I can do that.
So
I can reach out.
So I mean, then it would fill out.
And if I find out that it's a couple $100, we'll just do it. If we get real expensive with that, I just know buffalo seed's expensive. But I can do that. I can reach out and see if I can find some people in town, or if what's the place in Hayes that does all the yard work? Reedles. If I can get them to give me a quote or something like that, if I can do that, get a better idea what it would cost at least to get a little bit better head start on buffalo grass.
Anything else? Any questions? Any more comments? Yeah, report from the board subcommittee. Had a meeting since last time or no? Let's go on then to facilities improvement bond issue.
Had a conversation with Sid today. They're working on finalizing their presentation and putting together all their information. Probably looking at July. I had a conversation with him. I think this is an important enough subject. It probably be best to do a special board meeting. And that way we have just that meeting to discuss what he comes up with and give us some time to maybe have a conversation about what next steps need to be as a board. Or we can do it at the July 8th meeting. I just want to make sure we give this the due diligence that it deserves, so we can have some honest conversations and maybe come up with some plans and moving forward. He would be available July 8th, which is our regular meeting, July 15th, the 22nd, or 24th, to come out and do that presentation. Is there any thoughts one way or the other?
July 8th, what?
July 8th is our regular meeting.
What
were the other
would a regular meeting look like in July?
Organizational meeting.
It's what?
Your organizational meeting, so you have to approve everything for the year. We have initial conversations about budget.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell.
What were the other dates?
The 15th, the 22nd, or the 24th. I think the 15th is the next Monday, the 22nd is the Monday after that, and the 24th is the Wednesday of that third week of July.
I won't be here the 24th if you do it that day. I'll be in Indianapolis.
We get into the fair at the 22nd.
Let's say the end of July.
Yeah,
I won't be here the 22nd either.
I think that
I'll be in
22nd week is the fair week, isn't it?
And even the week before that's pushed.
15 final folks.
Yeah.
15.
Need a motion and approval for a special meeting on July 15th.
What date is it?
And what time?
It's a
That's
Monday.
It's
It's a Monday.
Be the third Monday of the month.
What time?
We need a motion. Decide what time you
I
want to do
move for a special board meeting, July 15th, 7 o'clock.
Second?
That motion second, all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay.
Special meetings with food.
it.
Is that one of those
I can bring you lunch,
Food.
supper.
Food, yeah. Those are always better.
Or,
I can think better.
Yeah.
Maybe before
How
you
many
can give us
pies
some
you got
pie.
left for? Okay. 8.1, transfer cash expenditures.
Basically, this gives authority to Susie and I here at the end of the month to clean out the books and move money where it needs to be moved.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
second.
Motion second. All in favor. Handbook first review.
I don't have a whole lot as far as any changes in the handbooks. We do need to make changes to a purchasing process in the staff handbooks. We've changed that up as we've moved to Skyward. So the actual process you go through if you want to request a purchase, just so it matches what we actually do. We need to make date changes in that. Did you find out? I know that we had one issue with
No, they were gone this afternoon because he was. working on
there's a
computers.
conflict in the attendance policy that conflicts with the ability to participate in sports. One place, we think it says, as long as you're at school, you can participate in practice, and then another place, whereas if
I think
you,
I don't know, but I gotta remember where, she found a place, I think it didn't get changed in one of our handbooks. And I need to visit with Shelley about that. She's, been making sure, see what she can talk about that, and then maybe bring that to your attention in July, whenever.
this is your first review, this is your opportunity, if there's something that you ran into or heard that we need to look at addressing, share it with Tom and I, and we'll put those things together for approval at the July meeting.
Is there anything, any comments, any ideas? Let's go on 8.3 mentoring program.
So part of conversations last month with the board subcommittee, teachers bringing up a need for some additional mentoring and support for new teachers, new staff to the district. Also within that, we talked in negotiations about adding a stipend for that. So with that, I have put together a mentoring handbook. It is a 20-page document. So I would encourage you to kind of glance through it and see if there's anything that I have missed. But the overall, if we're going to do it, we're going to pay someone $1,000 to do it. It needs to have some meat to it. And that's kind of the point of everything that we put in here, is making sure that some needs are made. It really spells out some areas to discuss and work on each month, and then a reporting process. There isn't a whole lot to report other than, yes, we did these. Here's some things that we've learned or that we have concerns about, type of process. But that's what I've been able to put together up to this point as far as handbook for that. So if you got time, want to look through it over this next month, and then we can.
Yeah.
We just got 3 pages and then
I
the
just
rest
get
of
the
it
first
didn't
page
load.
and it says, I just
Oh,
get the
mine loads.
cover page and then it says I can't preview the rest of the file.
Well, and mine's doing the same thing. I
Maybe the
will,
Wi-Fi.
I'll,
I got to the 3rd page and then
I'm on page 9.
You kicked me completely off everything.
Yeah.
it may just be an internet issue. I can print off and get you a copy if you'd like a printed
it's okay.
copy.
It'll probably come up.
I read it.
Yeah,
I
it'll
read it,
come
but-
We
up.
don't have to decide anything.
If you'd like a paper copy of it, just send me an email and I will get you a paper copy.
20 pages, huh?
Yep.
It's very thorough. I was reading it earlier. Yeah.
It's not nearly as nasty as what you think it is, but it is.
No,
it-
20 pages
it's
is me,
encompassing.
just right there. I don't care what's in there.
There's lots of signatures.
Any questions on the mentoring program? Policies, first review.
The vast majority of these are due to changes in state and federal laws. So it's something that you don't have a lot of choice in. I would encourage you to read through any of the ones that deal with sexual discrimination, sex discrimination, and those type of things, just so that you're aware of what's in there. I read through them. There's nothing that was over concerning to me. They're all just simply focused on, you're not going to discriminate against somebody. The one that I will tell you that I would recommend that we don't adopt is that JGFGAA. That is the Narcan policy. We discussed this when we approved our Narcan policy last year. KSDE's and KASB's policy focuses on as long as you've got Narcan, you can give it. I've got a concern with that. So the policy we approved specifically states that you must be trained by the approved person, the school nurse, or school administration, to carry Narcan on you as a staff member and administer it as a staff member. So I would recommend we keep that policy in place with the addition of the minimum training required that they do have listed in that policy. But the rest of them I would recommend for approval as they are written.
Okay, any questions on the first review? 8.5 then.
We're going to table that.
Okay.
Mr. Kerr would like a powder coating system to go along with the plasma cam table that we bought that'll allow him to powder coat metals that they've cut out. Where he started was not the complete system, and that price more than doubled. I think we were up to almost $40,000, and he doesn't quite have that much money in a tiny house budget to do that. So we're going to hold off on that and see if we've got a better direction to go with that.
Okay, negotiate agreement.
All right.
Their motion for funds.
Move.
Second, Shelby, all in favor.
Susie, I have a question for you before we do our thing. Because on one of those reports that you sent us, said that one of the things we have to do as a board is to say what room we are going to resume the meeting in when we make our statement for.
It's changing.
Okay, so we don't have to do that right now? We don't have to say we're going to executive session when we come back to this room.
That's one of the policies that it's an update, and they took away a lot of that.
Okay. So
Specific.
that part changed.
Okay, 8.7, there be a motion to approve the negotiated agreement.
Oh, so moved. I move that we approve the negotiated agreement.
And second from Lori, all those in favor? We got executive session personnel with the motion.
30 minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
You got, what other snacks do you have?
That's all the snacks we got. Down to 15th meeting, you get full meal now.
Enjoyed your summer, Susie? I am. For the most part. Long meetings aren't really.
Yeah, they're not too bad.
Shouldn't be too long tonight.
Yeah, we're almost done. How's life fighting books?
Long days.
Yep, I bet.
Tomorrow I have swim lessons in the morning. I start at 10, then I work till 6, and then I go to basketball.
Fun.
I'll get a lot of overtime hours these next 2 weeks.
Yep.
I think there's like 7 days in a row I work next week, starting Friday. This Friday. So.
I haven't been up there yet, but I heard some more good comments about it, so.
That's good.
I was gonna bring Maggie last weekend when we were here, but
That's cool.
it was cold, so I was like, yeah. we're going.
It's tough. We have had 2 really cold weekends, so we haven't had that much attendance.
Yeah.
Of course, but I think we had about 220 the first day.
Yeah.
And like we had like an 85, 90-degree day last week, Sunday. You know, we had like kids, 90 kids.
Good.
So we've been busy.
I love that you can get like a season pass and not every single time. I mean, I like that option that you can get a family pass or a single pass or
We
whatever.
only do individuals.
What?
Individuals.
It's just in it. Well, I mean, still, if you've
It's
got
still-
a kid that goes quite a bit,
it
adds
pays
up.
for itself.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think we'll see more and more as we go on more kids. It just needs to get warmer. These 75, 80-degree days are just brutal.
Yep. And the water doesn't warm up.
Some lessons are fun. Me and Hunter were shaken by about 30 minutes in. And we're like, It's keeping it under pretty cool. Most kids have been able to be in for an hour-ish or two, then sit out for a little bit, warm up, and then go back. Today was Thursday, I think. Yeah. I think water aerobics was tonight, so. We can start looking.
executive sessions. If they're done with the exec sessions, because the rest,
Have them all together and be like,
they won't lump them together, but there won't be any discussion on any of them. So if they're done with the exec session, and let's take that. So you do think they're done? Doesn't matter. If they go back in,
For number 30,
I hope not.
make a motion, we go on executive session for 15 minutes.
Second from Shelley, all in favor?
No. No, nobody will ever know. They want me here. Shut it off.
I'm cold.
like so cold in the office, and Kim and I got along great, because we both like
Because
it
you guys
warm.
always had that heater.
But Alex likes it cold. So if you see me coming to work in long sleeves, that's why.
Your snowsuit, which is why.
Exactly. My gloves on. Yes.
Extend executive session for 10 minutes. Second.
No.
Excuse me. Going to 8.1, 8.9. The two items there are Tanya Finley and Julian Aramendi. Is there a motion? Those hires, someone hires.
So move.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? Supplemental contracts, 810.
Make a motion to approve supplemental contracts as we saw, as
recommended.
recommended. Thank you.
Second.
And second from Shelby, all those in favor? Classified salaries.
Would recommend approval as presented.
I make a motion to accept classified salaries as presented.
Second.
All those in favor? Superintendent salary is on the schedule. Their motion to approve.
I motion to approve superintendent salary as presented.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? Principal salary is on the schedule.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor? Substitute pay,
So move.
second, all those in favor? Not, for any reason not 8:15 and 16 to patron accesses.
On
Yeah.
8:15, it's, do I say the name?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Okay, Anna Stout from Bazine, she's out of district, but her children are students in the school, so I make the motion that we approve her for.
Second.
Second, all those in favor? And Ginger Brown,
So move.
Second.
all those in favor? Any other business? I move to adjourn,
Second.
all those in favor.